Welcome back to Timeless Messages from the I Ching. This is Stephen. Thanks for tuning in. I hope you're doing well. So this is the 19th of February and a beautiful day outside today. It's in the 40s in northern Michigan, which is quite pleasant for some early springtime weather. So the question for today's video is, what are the most important messages for the viewers at the time they find this video? Most important messages for viewers at the time they find this video. And the two hexagrams are number 19, Lin, approach, and number 7, the army. So if you'd like to close your eyes, if you're able to, take some deep breaths and have some stress reduction, I'll begin the interpretation. Approach. The Chinese word Lin has a range of meanings that is not exhausted by any single word of another language. The ancient explanations in the Book of Changes give it as the first meaning becoming great. What becomes great are the two strong lines growing into the hexagram from below, the two solid yang lines. The light-giving power expands with these lines. The meaning is then extended to include the concept of approach, especially the approach of what is strong and highly placed in relation to what is lower or weaker. Finally, the meaning includes the attitude of condescension of a human being or a being in high position toward the people, and in general, the setting to work on affairs, working on stuff. This hexagram is linked with the 12th month, January, February, when after the winter solstice, the light-giving power begins to ascend again. So condescension generally has some negative connotations, such as arrogance, a person thinking or believing that they're more intelligent or more superior to others. But in this particular hexagram, the word condescension, it does not have a negative meaning. It actually indicates someone who is in a high position, strongly positioned, comes to others who are in a lower position. You can think of Jesus coming from heaven to earth, from a higher position to a lower position. It wasn't an ascension back to heaven, it was a condescension back to, or down to earth. So the judgment approach has supreme success. Perseverance furthers. When the 8th month comes, there will be misfortune. The hexagram as a whole points to a time of joyous, hopeful progress. Spring is approaching. Joy and forbearance bring high and low nearer together. Success is certain. But we must work with determination and perseverance. We must work with determination and perseverance to make full use of the propitiousness of the time. Propitiousness means that it is highly likely to succeed. So this particular time that we find ourselves in is highly likely to succeed, but it's very important that we work with determination, be very determined in our work, and persevering. And one more thing, spring does not last forever. And in the 8th month, the aspects are reversed. Then only 2 strong light lines are left. So the opposite hexagram would be number 20, contemplation, that switches, in which the 2 yang lines go to the top and all the yin lines go to the bottom. So in that particular situation, only 2 strong light lines are left, and these are not advancing, but being they're at the top of the upper trigram, they're in a position of retreat. So the yin lines are kind of forcing them out. So we must take heed of this change in good time. If we meet evil before it becomes a reality, before it has even begun to stir, we can master it. So this is kind of like nose to the grindstone kind of stuff. You have an opportunity for some great success here, the idea of springtime, and making full use of the successful aspects of this particular time that is very well thought of in terms of being potentially very, very successful. But determination and perseverance are really important qualities to continue to cultivate. And if there are evil situations or evil people, negative persons or situations that begin to stir or we begin to consider these possibilities, if we can become aware of this very readily, very early, then we can master it before it becomes a problem. So hints as to pay attention to these types of situations that may be on the periphery. Pay attention to hints and insights that you might be getting, and in regards to certain situations or particular kinds of people. The image, the earth above the lake, the image of approach. Thus the superior person is inexhaustible in their will to teach, and without limits in their tolerance and protection of the people. Well, this sounds very much like a sage, a wise person, that is inexhaustible in their will to teach others, and they do not have any limits in their tolerance and protection of the people. Wonderful qualities to esteem to. The earth borders upon the lake from above. This symbolizes the approach and condescension of the person of higher position to those beneath. The two parts of the image indicate what their attitude toward these people will be. Just as a lake is inexhaustible in its depth, so too the sage is inexhaustible in their readiness to teach mankind. And just as the earth is boundlessly wide, sustaining and caring for all creatures upon it, so the sage sustains and cares for all people and excludes no part of humanity. So this is a very welcoming, open-armed kind of mental and emotional and behavioral stance, to be willing to teach the masses, to be willing to be like the lake and the earth devoted, and the lake inexhaustible in its depth, and the earth is boundlessly wide, sustaining and caring for everyone and everything upon it. And so this sage quality within yourself, if cultivated, will be like these aspects: this inexhaustible depth, wisdom, clarity, and readiness to teach and to help, just as the earth is boundlessly sustaining and caring for everyone and excluding. And this sage energy, this wise divine light energy, your inner being, your divine self, sustains and cares for all people and all beings, and excludes no part of existence. So the changing lines, wonderful, wonderful image to shoot for, huh? The changing line is the 9 at the first place. 9 at the beginning means joint approach. Perseverance brings good fortune. The good begins to prevail and to find response in influential circles. So here we have a positive swing upward in which the good that you are doing, that you are going into and expressing, finds response with individual people in different circles. So this in turn is an incentive to people and their abilities. So this fact that the good is beginning to prevail and find a resonance with others is an incentive to you and your abilities, kind of propels you forward. And it is well to join this upward trend, but you must not let yourself be carried away by the current of the time. Don't be carried away by that too much, but rather stick perseveringly to what is right, for this shall bring good fortune. So if you begin to see success coming into your life in different areas, try not to let it go to your head and try to let the success just be a wonderful thing that you can help strengthen your own abilities and gifts and further extend your expression and your teaching and your approach to being able to help and sustain all beings in positive ways. And if you can stick perseveringly to what is right, rather than being carried away by arrogance or egotistical ideas. Oh, look at me, I'm so good, look at this. If you can stick perseveringly to what is right, then you'll enter this great good fortune. So approach really talks about the depth, the inexhaustible depth within you. And this inexhaustible depth has access to your inner sage, the inner divine light, inner wise being within you. And this inner depth and inner sage is inexhaustible in their ability and readiness to share important information, to teach humankind, just like the earth is always sustaining and caring for everyone. So you're becoming like the earth, and you're becoming like the lake, inexhaustible in depth and also boundlessly sustaining and caring for everyone and excluding no one. Wonderful things to attain to. So the second hexagram that comes in is called the army. And that is, the top trigram is the receptive earth, and the lower trigram is Khan, the abysmal water. This hexagram is made up of the trigrams Khan, water, and earth, Kun, and thus it symbolizes the groundwater that's stored up in the earth. In the same way, military strength is stored up in the mass of the people, invisible in times of peace, but always ready for use as a source of power. The attributes of the two trigrams are danger inside and obedience outside. Just like an army, it has to obey all the commands and regulations and so forth, but inside, the army is taught to be very dangerous, to be killers. This points to the nature of an army, which at its core is dangerous, while discipline and obedience must prevail outside. Of the individual lines, the one that controls the hexagram is a strong 9 in the second place, to which the other lines, all yielding, are subordinate. This line indicates a commander because it stands in the middle of one of the two trigrams. But since it is in the lower trigram rather than the upper trigram, it represents not the ruler, but the efficient general who maintains obedience in the army by their authority. So two different hexagrams here. The first one talking about becoming great or moving into much greater success, becoming great. The last portion of the book talks about approach, and when there are things to do, one can become great. Hence there follows the hexagram of approach. And approach means becoming great. So something about you, something about your life, something about your character, your expression is becoming great. So this is one snapshot that we have for the most important messages that the viewers are being guided into. And the second side of the coin here is the army. So becoming great, and one of the ways in which you can help foster this energy of becoming great is through discipline and obedience. But remember, everything has a balance. Even the army gets out of balance. So discipline can be very good, but if we take it too far, then we have difficulties and we have problems, and we take away from the joy that we truly need to experience in life. So the judgment, the army needs perseverance and a strong man. Good fortune without blame. It's interesting. A long time ago, there was a slogan for the army in the United States, and something like looking for a few good strong men, something like that. And it seems to me that perhaps somebody read this hexagram description and maybe incorporated that into the slogan. The army needs perseverance and a strong man. An army is a mass that needs organization in order to become a fighting force. Okay, you too need organization in order to become efficient. But make sure that you don't have too much organization and discipline. That can be bad. Without strict discipline, nothing can be accomplished, of course. But this discipline must not be achieved by force. It requires a strong person who captures the hearts of the people and awakens their enthusiasm. So this probably is indicating you, the strong person who's capable of capturing the hearts of the people and awakening their enthusiasm. But remember, in doing so, in capturing hearts of people and awakening their enthusiasm, perhaps through your willingness to be like the earth and boundlessly supporting all beings and having the inexhaustible depth of the lake, as in the previous hexagram, yes, wonderful things to have. But remember, You should not try to achieve this type of discipline by forcible means upon yourself or even upon others. But I think more this is talking about your inner character, your inner strength, and without strict discipline, not much is going to be accomplished, but it can't be done with force. So, in order that the person may develop their abilities, they need the complete confidence of the ruler, who must entrust this person with full responsibility as long as the war lasts. So if you're fighting a battle, if you're being delegated to do certain tasks and so forth from the ruler, okay, the ruler can be your higher self, the ruler can be your creator, could be your boss at work, or could be a project that you've been working on for quite some time, and you are entrusted with full responsibility as long as this war lasts. Well, this may not be a literal war, but it may be a type of battle in which you are trudging slowly uphill, making progress slowly but surely. War is always a dangerous thing, a dangerous enterprise, and brings with it destruction and devastation. Therefore, war should not be resorted to rashly, but like a poisonous drug, should be used as a last resort. So too in your own personal life, if you're pressing forward with strict discipline, remember to also have some balance with this strict discipline. Enjoy the beautiful sunshine and the nice weather and the flowers, and have some time to just not be on task all the time. And if you're going to have any battles with other people, arguments, disagreements, debates, and so forth, make sure it's about a very important point, because you shouldn't engage in these types of interactions impatiently or rashly. And it's arguing and warring and fighting and debating are like poisonous drugs that should only be a last resort. The justifying cause of a war and clear and understandable war aims should be explained to the people by an experienced ruler or leader. And unless there's a very definite war aim to which the people can consciously get behind, the unity and strength of conviction that lead to victory will not be there. But the leader, the ruler, must also look to it that the passion of war and the delirium of victory don't give rise to unwholesome and unjust acts that will not meet with general approval. If justice and perseverance are the basis of action, everything goes well. So again, the idea of being persevering, making sure that you're in that place where you're continuing to be in the zone, in the persevering zone, but not so persevering that you trample over people and destroy people or create negativity on your path. And make sure that this is considered, if you have to go to war with others, that it's a last resort. And you have to have a very quite definite aim or goal, so that people, if they understand your aims, your goals, your purposes, your intentions in moving forward, they can get behind you and show support. Just like the masses can rally behind a leader that wants to go to war for very particular reasons that the people can get behind. Now, you may not be a leader of a country, you may not have an army, but within yourself, you have a mass of energy, a mass of different conflicting and also agreeing intentions. And so the important thing is to get clarity about all the inner intentions that you have that could be pulling you in different directions. And that can create what feels like to you a war, because you don't have that peace, you don't have that clarity. in interpersonal interactions and interactions in culture and society and media and so forth, there can oftentimes be energies that feel very much like warring energies. And these are very, these energies can be very addictive. They can be very compelling, because they have such strong passion and emotion. But if you examine some of these battles that occur on social media and in politics and in public sentiment that is not feeling heard by its government, all of these areas of maladjustment can become war zones. So be very careful if you're going to put your energy toward an effort that could be similar to a war effort, not necessarily with guns and bombs, but with arguments and intense emotions and passions being expressed. Be careful, because you want to not create problems for yourself in the future. And you want your whole being, all the masses that live within yourself, to support you to victory, which will be not necessarily a victory over others in debates and arguments and so forth, but a victory over the different divergent energies and opinions and different thoughts that go in different directions that aren't in agreement within your own self. So essentially, the army is a cohesive energy flow that's moving toward one particular goal. And if you can organize your own self, your own inner being, to be like an army on some levels, where you're completely focused on achieving particular goal or goals, then you'll have that strict discipline that will help lead you into that success, that becoming great that the first hexagram approach speaks of. So you have to have a very clear and definite goal or goals that your inner people, your inner energies, your inner diverging opinions and so forth can rally behind these goals and pledge themselves. And then the strength, the unity of conviction will lead to victory. And this victory is really a victory over yourself and the divergent energies that tend to propel you in numerous directions rather than toward successful fulfillment of what it is you want to accomplish. The image in the middle of the earth is water, the image of the army. Thus the superior person increases their masses, the people, by generosity toward the people. Groundwater is invisibly present within the earth. In the same way, the military power of a people is invisibly present in the masses. When danger threatens, every peasant becomes a soldier. When the war ends, the peasants go back to their plows. A person who is generous toward the people wins their love, and a people living under a mild rule becomes strong and powerful. Only a people that are economically strong can be important and strong in military power. And such power must therefore be cultivated by improving the economic conditions of the people and by humane and benevolent government. Only when there is this invisible bond between government and people, so that the people feel sheltered and are sheltered by their government, as groundwater is sheltered by the earth, is it possible to wage a victorious war. So this bears a lot to consider in the current situation that we find ourselves here in 2023 on Earth. There's a lot of upheaval in terms of the people, the masses, not being particularly pleased with the way in which government is conducting themselves in their particular countries. Yeah. Is the government coming through in a benevolent, kind, and humane way that seeks to be generous toward the people? Because that generosity is key to having a successful interchange between high and low. If there's just retention of all the blessings and wealth for the rulers, for those in the higher position, then the people struggle and become filled with anger because they're not being cared for properly. Similarly, in your own situations, how are you receiving benevolence and goodness from your own inner power, your own inner government? Are you simply having to go and deal with what scraps the government gives you, your inner government, or are you being the government? Are they being government of generosity, benevolence, and harmony towards you? And this is an inner experience as well. For the government can be the inner energy that helps to govern your own life from an inside or inner perspective. And of course, from the outer world, we live in different countries with different governments. And it's quite likely in this particular age that we find ourselves in, which in my estimation is the nearing the end of the Kali Yuga, the Iron Age from the Indian system of yugas or time cycles. The idea of the Kali Yuga coming to a close in 2025, and then an interim period of 300 years in which we go through lots of changes here on Earth, environmental, culture, political changes, government changes, economic changes. Could be lots and lots of shifts. Some of them, of course, moving toward what will be better and better and better, but the process can be painful and difficult. So the recommendation is to be generous toward the people in order to win their love. And a people living under a very mild rule or rulers themselves become strong and powerful. And also, people that are economically strong, these are the people in these societies that can be important in military power. And if we want to improve that type of power, we have to improve the economic conditions of the people by humane, benevolent, and harmonious, kind government. So another way of looking at this, in many ways, life is rather like a war. We have different battles that we go through with different situations, different uphill climbs, different adversities that present themselves, and these take their toll. And of course, we want to succeed and continue to rise up and gather strength and peace and harmony and so forth. So if we can be generous and benevolent toward others as we engage in life, as we engage in our own personal fights and battles and wars and processes of attainment, of finishing and accomplishing and moving upward, if we can increase that generosity and that benevolence toward others as we're going through our own battles and our own wars, internally or externally, then we can increase the benevolent and generous energy from others and extend the friends and the helpers and the others that can be of assistance to us, so that when we do face a future battle, a future war, a future difficulty, then we'll have more support from others. The masses will be there with us and supporting us with their own strength, benevolence, and generosity. So in your perseverance and obedience to particular goals and tasks and maintaining that perseverance, don't forget that at the center, in regards to the Army's energy, there can be danger. And too much focus on one particular thing can be dangerous. You have to have a balance. And so therefore, when you're going through difficult times, when you're going through battles, when you're doing an uphill climb toward a project, toward realizing a goal, or if you've got a fight with someone, you've got a disagreement, debate, whatever it happens to be that's difficult or challenging, remember at these times to not only focus on your perseverance and your inner strength and your discipline to get the job done, to get things happening, but remain flowing in that benevolence and generosity toward others, and that will pay off big time in terms of when the future occurs and you need help from others, they'll be there to assist you. So that's what I have for you. I hope it helps. I would listen to this reading once more and jot down some of the most important ideas that you've taken from it. I hope you're doing very well, and take care.